improper removal is illicit. So if the home country can prove that it was removed, or at least it was there till 1970, the country or whoever it is, the museum or the dealer, has to return it without compensation once they are signatories of this. It just not stops at that. It also says that if there is any disappearance, the home country should properly advertise the loss. It's very important in this current case which we are going to look at. I'm sure a lot of you know, I'm just going to touch on this. This is the question that a lot of people ask, what is provenance? Provenance basically is the ownership record, unfortunately easily forged in today's world. We will see a couple of them. And a good provenance, which is more important for you and art scholars and curators and prospective curators. Dealers have in the past, including the one under the question, loaned their pieces to museums, wherein they have found into the museum's catalogue and gained provenance, good provenance. Once they are exhibited, they are part of the catalogue, they are sacrosanct. So that it's that much more responsibility on curators to ensure that not only their purchases, but also exhibits that they show on loaned items have to be properly researched. This is one company that figures up prominently because unfortunately they seem to be the only people providing provenance verification. It's a dicey subject because they require the loss to be registered with them in Europe after paying a fee, and they will check any prospective buyer against their database. So the problem in India, first of all, temples don't allow us to photograph, they don't photograph. So when they are lost, there is no way to go and register. And if they are buried hoards, there is no question of photographs as well. We will see a few cases. Lastly, restitution. Restitution is basically return, but there are different clauses, and we will see one classic piece of legislation which was overruled in a very important case. Just a short recap on the most famous bronzes that are returned to India. I'm sure you have heard of the Sivapuram Nataraja and the Pattur Nataraja. This is Pattur, that's Sivapuram. It's interesting to know that the Pattur Nataraja was actually dug up as a hoard. The person who found it buried it in another place, waiting for a buyer. The place he chose to bury it was a termite mound, and the termite mound helped. When they did chemical testing on the base, they found the soil to match, and that was one of the main clues that yielded to the return of the Pattur Nataraja. And what's more interesting is who will sue on behalf in case it's a buried hoard. In this case, they had two Devis, and the consort actually sued. And the learned judge asked, there are two, who is the wife? So after much deliberation, apparently they argued that since Nataraja was dancing, Uma is supposed to have danced all the way from Kashmir or Himalayas to see his dance, and they presumed that all the dancing would give her a slimmer waist. So the one with the slimmer waist was considered to be the consort, and she sued and successfully got the Pattur Nataraja back. We come to the second most famous one, Sivapuram Nataraja. Sivapuram is a very unique case because the details are there. 6 bronzes were found in a buried hoard: a Nataraja, a Somaskanda, a Samanda, a Ganesha, and 2 Devis. All 6 were donated or given into the temple by the collector. The temple authorities found that usually when you have buried bronzes and they are cleaned, the patina actually is, there are good patinas and bad patinas. The good patina stops further corrosion, but when they cleaned it, apparently it was not done properly, or the corrosion was accelerated, and we call it the bronze disease. So the temple authorities, in all good faith, gave these 6 pieces to a Stapati to clean, and it's widely believed that he switched the bronzes with fakes. The good thing was, there was a curator of the Madras Museum, P.R. Srinivasan, who photographed the bronzes and published it. And the curator of the British Museum, Douglas Barrett, when he visited India, he wanted to see the Nataraja, so he went to the temple. And one look at it, he said, this is a fake. And he went back and published it in his book, South Indian Bronzes, saying this is a fake. Not only that, he said, I've seen the original, it's in Bombay. By the time the authorities acted, the bronze had already sailed to New York. Fortunately, the bronze disease was still continuing. It was sent to London. And in London, the Indian government acted. Interpol held it. There was a long drawn case. We all know what happened. There was a restitution. Norton Simon Museum was allowed to keep the bronze for 10 years, publicly exhibit them. And then he came back to India, not back to the temple, but under lock and key in safe storage. Now what's interesting in this case is, we went back and searched the actual case file, and it says all 6 bronzes were lost. So the Nataraja came back. What happened to the balance? The case was closed, saying all accused have been arrested. There is no further news of the remaining idols. Fortunately, the book by P.R. Srinivasan was published in 1963, and he has a photograph of the Somaskanda. And this is a Somaskanda currently in display in the Norton Simon Museum with the same matching. It's very easy to match bronzes because, as you know, everything is individually handmade. And you can see even the breakages match. Not only that, on record I would say the density of the gallery, the provenance plate actually says Silver. And the year of accession is there, 1972. The same year, the Nataraja went into the museum. Not only that, in a book by P.R. Srinivasan, he says Somaskanda currently in the Shivan temple. Not only this, it was an out-of-court settlement between the Indian government and the Norton Simon Museum. They said for a period of 1 year, Norton Simon Museum could acquire any Indian artifact with no questions asked. It's a very weird term, clause used. Nobody knows why. In fact, we are trying to file an RTI with the Ministry of External Affairs to understand more. And these are the pieces that were bought along with in the same year by the Norton Simon Museum, including 2 Devis. What's more interesting, when I was searching for, I tend to collect all documented bronze articles. I came across a Mag issue, which in 1998, which has an article by Douglas Barrett, which was for some reason not published for 20 years. He visited the Norton Simon Museum in 1978. So, till 98, this article was not published. And what's interesting is, it has a small note which says, the Somaskanda in the museum, together with the standing Ganesha and the famous Nataraja, form part of the hoard discovered in silver. So the very man who identified the Nataraja for us has confirmed that the Somaskanda is the same. Okay. Now, that's the introduction, lengthy introduction. We come to this case. A beautiful stone sculpture, another Somaskanda, all for sale. We've not identified these yet, work is in progress. To give you a background, today the main case is bronzes from 2 temples. One is Sutamalli and another is Sri Purandan. The temple in Sutamalli was broken down, run down, so the bronzes were moved to Sri Purandan for safekeeping. and the loot actually happened in the Sri Purandan temple, which unfortunately lost its bronzes as well. Overall, our estimate 28 bronzes were lost. The idol wing insists on filing a case only for 18, for God knows what reason. And the most vital clue in this case was this inscription on the base. For people who know Tamil, it says Suttavalli. It doesn't say Suttamalli, it says Suttavalli. So probably in the 10th century, the village could have been known as Suttavalli. Not only on the Nataraja, even the Uma's base has the inscription Suttavalli. The idol wing in 2009 published this PDF with very poor resolution photographs and even poorer tags. For example, this is Samandar, they have named it Nardana Krishna. This is Manikavasagar, named as Samandar. This is Deepa Lakshmi, named as Ashtadevar, named as Deepa Lakshmi, and so on. Plus they left out one Chandikeshwara. This is Suttamalli. These are from Sri Purandan. Now these photographs, fortunately, were taken by the French Institute in Pondicherry between 1974 and 78, and they are the only proof to return these bronzes back. So let's go in to understand more about the bronzes in Suttamalli. I've included the Chandikeshwara as well. So we will pick one by one. I'll just run through how easy it is once you have a photo documentation done to identify these bronzes. This is the other lot in Sri Purandan. My role on this find, you could call it luck. In the part of my learning, I was studying the Ardhanari form evolving from, say, the Ardhanarishwara in Mahabalipuram, where you see him in Samabanga, straight profile. It's very difficult to match the male and female parts. And